Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm Mike Stansbury, and with me today is Mr. Damon Nichols. Damon, how are you, sir?
I am fine. I'm doing amazing and glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, Damon, thanks for being here. We got to do the we got to pay the bills, like we say over here. So we let everybody know that the Real Estate Pros Podcast is brought to you by Investor Fuel. We help real estate professionals, investors, service providers, and entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses and allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and allow them to live the life they've always dreamed of. So if you want some more information about Investor Fuel, come talk to us at investorfuel.com. So Damon, I always like to start with this. What is your origin story in real estate? Maybe talk to us about what were you doing before you got into real estate. What did that look like?
Oh, my life was a mess, to just put it bluntly. So I'm going to give you a real short background of that. So I grew up just troubled, and I got into drugs at an early age and ended up, at 21. I went to prison for a few years. So I spent a lot of years in and out of the prison system, treatment centers, halfway houses, just all of that stuff for a lot of my adult life. And, I worked a 9-to-5 job. I traded my time for money. I did all of that. And I just lived in that cycle for about 30 years until, I finally came to the end, in 2014. It was basically my last opportunity, and I wanted to change everything about who I was and change my life and become a completely different person. I wanted to learn to do everything different, and I changed everything. I got into real estate, I cleaned my life up, I got my fitness together, and I got into these groups of people and found out that there was a completely different life out there that I didn't even know about. So that's the life I live now.
Okay, so you're burying the lead a little bit. So you went to prison, okay, yeah. And then did the epiphany happen while in prison or after prison?
No. So I had several cycles of that. I was 21. I went to prison. I spent about 3.5 years there. I got out. I tried to start my own business. Things went bad. I got into drugs. I was in the meth game for a long time. I lived that life. I was a meth cook. that was my life, and just in and out of those kinds of that activity, and I ended up getting another sentence, community correction sentence, a treatment center. It just kept every time I would start to get ahead. And I know what it all comes down to is just the belief system that I carried around with me, because my mom left when I was young, and I never felt good enough. I never felt like I was worthy of this, and so I never looked at myself as that I could ever have any of this until I started changing it. But it took me getting into these groups and just a complete different way of thinking. I got forced to change my story, and I realized that, I don't want to just change certain things about it. I want to change my entire life. Like, right. I knew there was a whole nother set of rules that everybody else certain group of people figured out how to live by. Like I want to live by those rules. And so I'm learning every day. I learn more. As I started getting clear headed and started finding exactly what I wanted to do, then it all started coming, and it just was I had to really work on myself to become the best version of myself. That meant my mental health, for one, physical health, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my kids. That was probably the most important. And once that came, then I started just developing different belief systems about who I was. And, then I went to these, real estate. I went to my first real estate seminar, and everybody told me, "Oh, it's a scam. You're gonna waste your money." And it was if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I spent money I didn't even have to go.
Right.
But I knew there was something there, and I learned so much because I stayed to the very end. And the biggest thing I learned out of that is I was chasing the wrong thing. I was like, where do you come up with the money? How do you get this? I can never come up. Like, that was the mindset that myself and so many people are stuck in. Like, how do you come up with the money? And I realized at that point, somebody told me, you quit chasing the money. You go out and put the skill set together for the deal, and the money will follow the deal. When I learned that, everything changed.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so I know how to do the construction work. Now I got to figure out how to find these deals. And once I did that, it snowballed for me. So once I got into real estate, it was off and running.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, one of the things I think your story is indicative of, first of all, I mean, I love the origin story of how you started off in a really deep, deep valley, because what people need to hear, people need to constantly hear this, even people that are maybe even on top or maybe in a valley, you not constantly hear that, hey, you can come back from a really huge setback, because so many people think that this is going to be the way it is. But you kept unlocking things about life, as you got more curious. And I find that, so you found that, like, whenever you tried to do something and you were going to go to this real estate seminar, the people, the circle around you was like giving you the business about, that's a scam. Isn't that how it always is with people? Yeah.
Even the closest people to me are like, don't overextend yourself. Don't like too much. Be careful. Like, I don't know about this deal. There was a couple times they were right, but if I would have never taken those chances, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Right.
And I'm always willing to. But I also learned when I learned the skills, you can take it all away, but you can't take the knowledge. I have the knowledge to build it back. Because I did an investment several years ago into the oil industry. I started pumping money into that, and I invested $1.3 million, and I lost $800,000 of it.
How about that?
And people told me, and I went through that whole thing. It was embarrassing. I had that shame of like, I know you told me so, but that was part of what I had to go through,
Right.
And I see it with so many people that take these big risks. I get in these rooms and they're like, oh yeah, I lost $300 million. I'm like, okay, my little bit isn't. I got guys that at least they ripped me off for $32 million. I have a couple buddies that just lost like big money, and
right.
And it's part of it,
Yeah, it's always a mental game, because there's always going to be losses in life.
Yeah.
There is, and I remember when I first got into real estate, the first deal I ever did, I lost $10K on, and I turned to my wife and I said, "Hey, we're going to do this again."
Yeah. But it's all
And she's like,
relative.
you're crazy. But it is all relative.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that loss of 10K has netted a lifestyle and a life that we would never live if I would have just gone, well, I guess I got to go work for somebody else and do their bidding. So okay, I want to go back to the epiphany that you had. It's and I granted that you had several epiphanies as you were growing in real estate. You just unlocked different mindsets that you needed to be successful. So tell me about the first couple real estate deals that you did on your own, and you can tell me a creative one, or just maybe I'll let you choose your own adventure. Just give me something early on.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So my very first real estate deal is very interesting. I went to this seminar. It was a 3-day seminar. I got to meet some people there, and there was one lady in particular I met there that she was like, "Hey, I have all these properties that I bought. My husband died, and I've had like 5 properties that are like 80% done." And I was like, "Well, I can help you with these." So I started helping her finish these properties to get them on the market. At the same time, she was helping me with like learning how the contracts and learning about, like, I didn't know anything about the title company. I didn't know what a buyer's agent was or a seller's agent. I didn't know any of that stuff. So she started teaching me about all of that stuff. But once I knew I had somebody that had some money that wanted to invest, she was like, "Go find a deal." So my first real deal, I went to Colorado Springs, and my wife and I, we drove around for a day, 2 days, and I learned so much in this process. We were talking to mailmen, trying to find vacant houses. We, asking who they didn't deliver to. We were looking at houses and just driving around basically. But in that time I had worked for her, I learned how to like run comps. I learned how to, I figured that stuff out. And we just happened to be driving by this place in Colorado City. It was a for sale by owner, and the guy was there. He was standing outside. My wife was like, "Hey, check this out." So we drive back. We go in and we look at this property. It was a duplex. And the guy said, it was like maybe a third of the way done. Somebody had got shot there. They died in it. And the price he was asking it was maybe $215,000. I was like, "Okay, well, I'm interested." Well, as I was there, like 3 other realtors show up, and they looked around, and I left. And I started running some comps and trying to figure this out. And I had some numbers. He called me later and he said, "Hey, I got 3 other people interested in this property. If you want this property, like he lived in Monument, like 10 miles outside of Monument." He said, "Whoever shows up at my house first with a contract is going to get this property." So I slept in my truck in the middle of a snowstorm in a McDonald's parking lot in Monument, Colorado. We didn't even live, we lived in La Junta at the time. And I was, 120 miles from my house. I slept in my truck, and I showed up at his doorstep at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had a handwritten contract, and he signed it. And I didn't even he wanted $2,000 earnest money, and I had maybe $400 in the bank at the time. But I knew this lady would back me on it. But I'd also had a friend that I had done some work for. I wrote a check for $2,000. This was on a Sunday morning, and I gave it to this guy, and I called my buddy. I was like, "Hey, I need to borrow $2,000 today so I could get it in the bank." And he did. He's been my business partner for the last probably 7 or 8 years. But he gave me the money. I was there when the bank opened. I didn't realize that it wouldn't be there. That check wouldn't be there, had to go through title and escrow, but I didn't know at the time. But I jumped on the deal, and I was willing to sleep in my truck in a snowstorm to be there. And I got the deal. I ended up, she put the money up. I did the rehab. I lived in it, and it was a great job in Colorado Springs. I was there probably 2.5 months, and it ended up to be a really good deal. I made probably $25,000 off that deal, and it kept me with cash flow through the time that I was doing it. But at the same time, I also got to know some other realtors, and I got into real estate sales. They were doing these foreclosure sales every Tuesday, and I would go to those just to network with people, because I realized everybody that's there is there to buy something. If only one person leaves, everybody else leaves with their money. So those were some of the things that I learned along the way. Like, if I go to these sales where all these people are there to buy something, I got to get to know them, because they all have money.
Right.
And they all want to be part of a good deal.
Right.
And so that's how it kind of started for me. And then from there, I helped her with a couple other projects, but I'm like, I'm going to go down to the small town where I'm from, and I can pick up these properties for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and rehab them myself and turn around and put somebody in them. And so I did that. And for like 5 years, I probably did maybe 50 properties, either just bought them, rehabbed them. I hired some guys, and just, I got into tax liens. I was buying tax liens. I started just getting involved and getting in the circle, and it became easier and easier and easier. And then other people wanted in, and they wanted to loan me money, and I got, so yeah. It turned into that, So that's kind of how my journey started.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And that was in that market was in Colorado? Is that where
was
you
in
started?
Colorado, yeah.
Are you guys still there in Colorado? Or
I'm still in Colorado here, yeah. So I still have a couple properties. I bought a restaurant, and that did really well for a little while.
How about that? I always love these stories. Real estate investors are hilarious, because the same principles they use in buying houses, they can buy other assets. So tell me the story on the restaurant. How did the deal work out? Because I've got a story for you after this.
So it was just a vacant piece of property. It was on highway front property, kind of between a McDonald's and a Walmart. I'm like, this is a good piece of property. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It was an old house. I bought it, and then it ended up a guy with a food truck. I let him park it there, and then that deal went kind of south. So I ended up buying the food truck, and then I opened this restaurant, and because there was nothing around, it was a barbecue restaurant, and It became very popular, and we did really well for a while. But then January 1st of 2022, New Year's Day, it caught on fire and it burned to the ground.
Oh wow!
So yeah, and I went through a process of trying to rebuild it back, and we kind of almost it's all rebuilt, but I'm selling it. I couldn't find people to run it, and I got into self-storage, and I'm on the road a lot, and if I can't be there, a restaurant's
right.
something that's a whole nother animal. And if you're not there to make it go, at least until it can run itself, it's not going to work. And I found out the hard way, So
yep.
I got rid of that, and
and you
I got into storage.
Better asset class, yeah.
I got into storage, and that it snowballed. And that I found a niche that there's not a lot of people out there, and I'm able to take a crew of guys and travel anywhere in the country and build these storage facilities, 1, 2, 5, 10 buildings. It doesn't matter. So that's been kind of I've been doing that. That's all I've been doing for the last probably 3 or 4 years.
All over the country, or
all over the country? Yeah, okay. I'm doing a big project right now in Nebraska. I got some land I'm getting under contract this week in Erie, Pennsylvania. That's going to be one that I'm going to, myself and a couple partners will be owning that. We're looking at acquisition all over the place now, but.
Do you build? Are you able to build contractor garages as well? Something
So I've
bigger?
built some contractor garages. I've done some. I got a guy that owns a bunch of them out in South Dakota. So I built some stuff out there. I built some stuff in, where was it? Gosh, I don't know. We've been all over the Midwest. Probably 17 states I've built storage facilities in.
How about that? Oh, have you enjoyed the travel and
I
that
do.
part? Or okay,
I
that's
love
awesome.
it. I travel. We're on the road all the time. Between this, I do a lot of real estate events. I'm also a speaker, so I speak in a lot of different events. So just that's kind of our life is travel. And luckily, I can. My wife goes with me, and I have a 15-year-old we homeschool. He goes to a lot of these, so I get to bring my family with me.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So, tell us about the foray into self storage. What was the beginning or hinge point for you in self storage?
So that fell into my lap too because I was doing rehabs, and another funny story. My truck broke down, and an old boss that I had an old truck. So I went to his place. He tried to hire me back. I'm like, I ain't going back to work for somebody. He goes, well, my cousin needs some storage built. Can you build some? I said, well, I guess,
Yeah.
And he showed me the slabs. They had the slabs poured, and he's like, give me a bid. So I gave him a bid on it. I didn't even know how to bid it, and I'm like, okay. I just kind of shot some numbers out there, and I forgot. Maybe a month and a half went by, and I forgot. And he shows up one day. He's got all these rolls of plans, and he was like, yeah, the buildings are going to be here in a couple days. I'm like, can you find somebody else? And he was like, no, man, there's nobody else. You need to do this. So I did it, and I didn't want to do it. I made money at it, but I'm like, I'm just now getting into real estate. I've got some rental properties, and but I didn't realize it until I had other people started realizing that I could build these things and build them quick. So I started getting phone calls. Then I had a guy from Idaho call me, like, hey, I heard you can build storage. Would you come up here? And I got a building sitting on the ground. I had a guy who was supposed to build them, and he backed out. Can you come do it? And I'm like, I shot in this stupid number, and he said, how soon can you be here? And I'm like, wait a minute, now I'm onto something, and I went out there, and I made a lot of money.
How about
Yeah,
that?
I'm like, holy crap, this was at that time the most money that I'd ever made. I think I was out there like 17 or 18 days, and I made probably $70,000, and so I'm like, okay, this is way better than what I'm doing now,
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't as steady, but I also realized that I didn't have to do as many of them, and all I had was labor,
Right.
so it just, then I started finding guys, and then more people, the manufacturer. I work really closely with a group called a Regency Building Outlet, and they put these, that's what they specialize in, is mini storage, and they put these facilities up everywhere. And every time somebody buys buildings, they're like, hey, do you got somebody that can put them up? So they just referred me. I've never went out and tried to find any work. It's always came to me. And now I got so much. I'm booked from up through most of this year.
Isn't
Building.
that interesting? You don't even have to market yourself because you did a good job a couple times, and people were like, "Oh yeah," and I don't know. I've never built mini storages, but I know that it's a lot more fun than it is houses.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, and it's all kind of cookie cutter. I mean,
Right.
they're all a lot of the same, but they all have their differences. And it's new. You don't have a lot of you don't have the drywall dirt. You don't have, there's a lot of stuff. I do some concrete projects, which is, that's another animal there. But this project I'm doing now, I'm GCing the entire thing, like all of the groundwork, underground, utilities, all of it.
Is it climate controlled too? Is there
I have a climate control building on there. Yes.
Yeah,
Boat and
okay.
RV, climate control, mini store. It's 13 buildings. It's on like 3-acre project.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
good
love
size
it.
project.
That is that's super fun. So, are you bullish still on the self storage facility, self storage industry right now? What's your thoughts
I am
on that?
for a while. It is getting kind of saturated, but it's crazy. I go build these things in some of these small podunk little towns, and they fill up, and then they call me back again. Like I did it in Sheridan, Wyoming. I went up there, and there's storage all around, and I built a building for the guy. 6 months later, he was like, "I'm full. Can you put another one?" I came up, put another one, and he's like, "I'm buying all this land. I'm going to put more in there." I'm like, there's not even enough people here.
Where are the people? What are they putting in there? It's
Yeah.
wild.
So everywhere I've gone, it's been crazy. I don't know that anybody's like they're all full. I just did one for a guy in Oregon, and like probably this was in February. He told a friend of mine who they worked together with store. He's like, "Hey, I'm full. I think I got 2 doors left." And I'm like, where are they coming from? This was in Coos Bay, Oregon. There's not anything up there, but I know because he bought this facility and we were just kind of doing a value add. We put in an additional probably 35 doors, but he sold 9 of them. We were there 2 weeks and he sold 9 of them. So, yeah, I'm like that's just crazy.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's interesting to me. I've heard that self storage is I just hear other things, but again, my estimation is it's like anything. It's location and where you at, where's how much storage is available, and in these smaller towns, it seems like there's a need for it. I've got a facility in a smaller town that does really really well because it's right in the middle of town. So now you're investing in self-storage. You're not only building them, now you're procuring the land and trying to get it in yourself. So how are you getting those deals together? So you doing them with your business partner? Are you trying to use other people's money? How are you doing that?
So I'm in a few different real estate groups and mastermind groups. I have, my circles of people that one in particular is my real estate group, and there's a lot of realtors in there, some business owners and entrepreneurs, and just got guys that are always looking for land. And I just happen to have a guy that I've known for a couple years now. He owns a paving company that he's got access to some land. He's like, I got this perfect piece of land. So I'm like, well, let's do it. And he did all of the diligence on the permitting and all of that to make sure it was zoned correctly and everything. So it's a go. So now we brought on another partner that's got a little bit of capital. So between the 3 of us, we have enough money to buy the property, and then we're just going to go in. And we have two different ways to go, because now we got guys that have crypto money that are wanting to invest into this. So one other thing is, I know guys that have these solos, these Roth, these Coverdales, these HSA accounts that they can pull money out of, and they can loan money for short-term high-interest loans, for 1 year, 15, 20, 25% interest for, maybe 1, 2, 5, 10% on the back end. Where these guys, that's all they want to do with their money is just want to loan it out.
Yep. Yep. And that's why getting into networking groups and masterminds are the way to go, because you get access to people. And if you do like what you're doing, if you know what you're doing and you do it correctly, people will beg to give you their money so they can make a return on it.
Yeah.
So Damon, with that being said, in your journey here in real estate, has there been a coach or a mentor that had made a big impact on your life, probably, or that helped you along the way?
I have a handful of people that have really helped me along the way. One of them is Nick Santonastasso. I don't know if you know him.
I do not.
He doesn't. He's a speaker. He's actually he's been with Tony Robbins for a while. He doesn't have any legs, and he's only got one arm. So he really helped me along in my speaking journey. So I owe a lot to him. Mike Fallett, he helped me publish my book and helped me with that. And then I'm in a group with a guy named Ray Cash Care. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a former Navy SEAL. And then a guy named Red Suit Realtor. These guys, he's very well connected. He's like probably Utah's biggest fix and flip realtor. He's pretty well known out there. but he's got a lot of just high profile people that are involved in his groups. He holds a lot of events, but just connecting with these guys and being in these groups and getting to know them, even more on a personal, I think taking the time, I spent some time out in Utah and actually took the time to go watch his kid play football and get to know these people, because and that's where you develop these relationships with people, and that's what it's about, and they get to know who you are, and they see you year after year, being consistent. And because I've watched him, I've met him a few years ago in an event, and it's the same thing with him. You know what you get, and he's one of those guys that just like his whole life is just now trying to help people be successful in real estate, showing people, and it's like those are the people I want in my life, because that's what I'm doing now. With my journey, I give back. I volunteer a lot of my time I go speak to different groups in prisons to try to help these guys to kind of change that mindset so they can get out and become successful.
Hey, look at me. I've been where you're at, right? Yeah. And
it's all about, giving back, and because that's when you can really grow.
Yes, sir.
And to try to, just to help other people become the best person they can. So those are the kind of people that have kind of helped me in like different parts of my journey. Mike Fallett got me into a lot of rooms that I didn't even know about. So that's big. If you got somebody that has that, because those kind of rooms, I feel like a lot of stuff is gate kept. There's a lot of gatekeepers out there.
Yeah.
Whenever you find somebody that can get you past those gatekeepers, that's a key. And that's what this guy did. Is he helped me? He got me into these rooms and got me in front of the right people. Mark Evans. I don't know if you know who Mark Evans is.
I do know Mark Evans.
So he introduced me to Mark. So I've got to know Mark. I've been to a couple of his events, and like all of the people that he's connected with too. So just in those circles, you start seeing all of the same people.
Right.
And they're all connected, and so I'm starting to connect with all of them.
Yes, sir. Well, Damon Nichols, it's been a pleasure to get to know your story. Where can people find out more about you on the socials and on the web? What does that look like for you, Damon?
So I have a website. It's just damonnichols.com. And then on my socials, my Instagram is Damon R. Nichols. I have my Facebook is Damon Nichols, The Breakout Blueprint. And in my book, it's the Breakout Blueprint.
Awesome.
So,
okay, cool.
You can get
find
that
on Amazon. Okay.
And that's about it. I'm fairly new to social media. I've only been there the last couple of years, but
that's where it's at these days, and that's where they can find you. And that's good that you're there, because you've got a great story, Damon, and more people should hear it. And a lot of people will hear it on this podcast, and I really appreciate you sharing it, folks. That's Damon Nichols for the Real Estate Pros podcast. If you want to reach out to him, his information is down there in the show notes. We will talk to you later. We'll see you on the next Real Estate Pros podcast. Like and subscribe. Thanks, folks. Have a great day.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.